This article on glycine, man, it really caught my eye. I mean, it was an amino acid, right? But I had no idea it was so important for, well, so many things. Like it's practically everywhere in the body doing all this important stuff.
Yeah, it's funny how that is. Glycine often gets overlooked, but when you look at what it actually does, it's amazing, this tiny little molecule,
Mm.
right? And it's crucial for so many aspects of our health.
So the article mentioned collagen. And I know, of course, everybody knows about collagen,
Yeah.
right? For skin, keeping that youthful look. But it sounds like glycine is a big part of that.
Huge part. Think of it this way. Collagen is like the scaffolding holds our bodies together. Skin, bones, tendons, everything. And glycine, well, it's one of the essential building blocks for that scaffolding. And the thing is, we don't naturally produce enough of it on our own, so we got to get it from our diet or supplements, things like that.
Okay, that makes sense. But the article, it kind of went beyond just skin, you know what I mean? Talking about glycine being an antioxidant powerhouse, all this stuff. What's that all about?
So it all comes down to this thing called glutathione. It's basically like our body's own detox system. And guess what? Glycine. It's crucial for producing that. So it helps neutralize all those harmful things we're exposed to constantly, right? Pollution, processed foods, stress, you name it. It's like having a little army inside, fighting off damage right at the cellular level.
Wow, I never thought of it like that. But what about gut health? The article, it mentioned glycine helps with that too. I've been, trying to improve mine lately, so I was really interested in that part. What does glycine actually do in the gut?
It's incredible how much influence it has, honestly. A lot of it comes back to inflammation. Chronic inflammation in the gut, it's linked to a whole bunch of issues, right? Like digestive problems, obviously, but even more serious stuff too. But glycine, it's like a calming influence. It helps soothe that inflammation and keep the gut lining healthy.
So it's like it's reducing those signals that cause all the trouble in the first place.
Exactly. Think about cytokines, right? Those are like the inflammatory messengers in your body. Well, glycine, it can actually modulate their activity. It's like, hey, calm down, prevents them from going overboard and causing too much inflammation.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. For a small amino acid, that's got a big job. Okay, but I gotta ask, what about blood sugar? Does glycine spike it like sugar does? I'm like always a little worried about that.
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's a common concern for sure. But actually, glycine is more likely to help you than hurt you when it comes to blood sugar.
Really? How so?
Well, it's all about how it works with insulin and glucagon. These are the two big hormones that control blood sugar, right? Insulin, it helps your cells absorb glucose from your blood, so it brings blood sugar down. Glucagon, on the other hand, it raises it when you need it. And glycine, get this, it actually stimulates the release of glucagon.
So instead of like a big spike, it helps keep things more level.
Exactly. It's like a dance, And glycine is making sure both partners are moving in sync. Some studies even show that glycine could improve insulin sensitivity, which is a huge deal for anyone with insulin resistance or following a low-carb diet, things like that.
That's wild. So it's not just about like avoiding those sugar spikes, but actually helping your body use it better, huh? I'm really starting to see why they called glycine like a secret weapon in that article.
It really is remarkable, yeah. And speaking of secret weapons, the article also mentioned its role in fighting inflammation, remember?
Right, right. We talked about it with gut health, but it sounds like it goes even further than that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It goes way beyond the gut. Like, it even mentioned arthritis, how glycine can help with that. And, inflammation is a factor in so many health problems these days, so that's a pretty big deal.
Huge, yeah.
It really is. Yeah, because when we're dealing with chronic inflammation, it's like our immune system is stuck on high alert all the time, right? And that can damage tissues and organs in the long run. But glycine, it can kind of step in and help like modulate that inflammatory response.
Modulate. So it's not just about like completely blocking inflammation.
Exactly. Yeah, it's more about bringing things back into balance, Glycine helps regulate those inflammatory pathways, prevents that constant state of overdrive that can lead to chronic issues.
Fascinating. So it's like glycine is this peacemaker kind of calming everything down. Okay, so we've talked about a bunch of stuff here. Collagen, oxidative stress, gut health, blood sugar, inflammation. Whew, it's a lot. But how do we actually get more of this stuff in our diets? The article mentioned a few things.
Yeah, it did. And the good news is you don't have to totally change everything you eat. One really good way is by adding more collagen-rich foods.
Like bone broth. I've been hearing about that a lot lately.
Exactly. Bone broth is fantastic for this. It's made by simmering animal bones, connective tissues, all that stuff, which is loaded with collagen. And collagen means glycine, right? Plus, bone broth is super versatile, drink it straight, use it in soups and stews. You can even put it in smoothies if you want.
Right, right. And it's actually tasty, so that's a plus.
Yeah.
The article also talked about gelatin, though. What exactly is that?
So gelatin basically comes from collagen. When you cook collagen down, it breaks down into gelatin. Think of it like a more processed form of collagen. You can find it as a powder, really easy to use. Throw it in smoothies, soups, sauces, even desserts. It works everywhere.
That's a good tip. I'm all about sneaking more nutrients into my food whenever I can. The article mentions some actual foods, too, that are naturally high in glycine.
Yeah, things like chicken skin, pork rinds, bone-in fish, stuff like that. They've all got those collagen-rich tissues, so they're good sources of glycine. I know, I know. Maybe not everyone's favorites, but
Yeah, not sure I'll be snacking on chicken skin anytime soon, but I appreciate the info. What about supplements, though?
supplements are definitely a good option too, especially if you're not sure you're getting enough from your diet. They're convenient and you get a good concentrated dose.
Are there any downsides to supplements, though? Should people be careful about anything?
Not really, no, as long as you find a reputable brand and follow the dosage recommendations. Like anything, though, going overboard isn't a good idea. With glycine, extremely high doses can cause some digestive issues for certain people. The article suggested something like 4 to 10 grams a day, spread out throughout the day.
So lots of ways to get more glycine, it seems. But of everything we talked about, what's the most, I don't know, the most surprising benefit of glycine you've come across? What really stood out to you?
Hmm. That's a tough one. There are so many. But I think for me, it's the sleep connection. That one always gets me.
Oh, yeah. The article mentioned that. And I got to say, as someone who's, always trying to sleep better, that definitely got my attention.
Well, who isn't trying to sleep better these days, right? And it turns out glycine could be a real game changer for that.
Okay. Yeah. Tell me more. How does that work?
It's all about body temperature, actually. Glycine, it helps regulate our internal temperature. And you know how our body temperature naturally drops a bit as we fall asleep?
Yeah.
Well, glycine seems to help with that process. It's like it sends a signal to the brain telling it it's time to wind down.
So it's like it gives our sleep-wake cycle a little nudge, gets things moving in the right direction.
Exactly. And unlike some sleep aids that can leave you groggy, glycine helps you wake up feeling refreshed. No weird side effects.
Okay, now that's what I'm talking about. I'm definitely going to be upping my glycine game after this.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me how something so small can have such a big impact, It's just
Okay.
in tiny little molecule, and it's doing all this stuff in our bodies.
I know, right? It really makes you appreciate the complexity of it all. And we're still learning. There's so much more to discover about glycine, I'm sure of it.
Well, I feel like we covered a ton of ground today. I mean, we started off thinking of glycine as just another amino acid, and now we're talking about collagen, antioxidants, gut health, blood sugar, inflammation, sleep.
Quite the resume, right?
Seriously. So for anyone listening out there wondering if they should be, I don't know, thinking more about glycine, I think the answer is pretty clear. Yes, bone broth, gelatin, those foods we talked about, supplements, there's so many ways to try it out.
Exactly. Who knows? You might just find your own secret weapon for feeling amazing.
I love it. Well, that's it for today's deep dive into the amazing world of glycine. We hope you enjoyed it and maybe learned a thing or two. Until next time, stay curious.